And here we are on Overtime, and Dexter Filkins has joined us. I understand you and Rich were in Iraq together?
We were. Dexter has been there for years. I had a cup of coffee. But I want to talk about Dexter and and the things that he does and people like him do. If you've read his book, I wish everybody would read it. But he is one of the bravest people I've ever met.
True.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I've said this before. Even if you took away the danger level, just the discomfort level, you know, just the sand in your ass. And the heat and the food and like just the day-to-day. But as someone once said, don't pity the martyr, he likes his job, right? Right. It's a little like the Hurt Locker, right? You get home and it's just boring. You're a bit of a junkie for it, aren't you, Dexter?
All those brands of cereal. Remember when he goes there?
Yeah, that's great. Okay, we were going to talk, and we ran out of time, about Solyndra. That is the solar power company that the Obama administration fast-tracked stimulus money to. And it turns out they went belly up and lost $500 million, not billion, of taxpayer money. How big of a scandal is this, really?
Because of the way it was structured, apparently these guys who went belly up will get the opportunity to protect their other assets or get bailout money earlier. Whatever it is, they were moved up in the process for the funding and also, I believe, in their financial recovery from this from the collapse of the company. If that's found to be done intentionally with any foreknowledge that there might be a collapse, then it could be a problem. Otherwise, it's a bad investment. Apparently, they made these solar panels without silicon. Is that it? And then the price of silicon dropped, and they didn't.
Yeah, they went. I mean, the reason why they went out of business is the reason why companies go out of business in a capitalistic country.
That's right.
Because somebody did it better.
Yeah, but, well, in this case, it happens to be the Chinese, unfortunately. Yeah. Right. So go back to, you know, we need to call Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
I'll wait. You can. The issue here, though, Bill, was that the question is, was there what's called a continuing business layer? Right? That's not whether the accountants had already said, we have doubts that this a going concern, that this can continue as a going concern before all this money got transferred and all these guarantees.
No, I mean, it's
not good. It's ugly, and it hurts the whole solar and alternative energy thing.
Well,
which is really the bigger
they definitely
problem.
should never try anything again. I think that's right. Lesson learned is don't try any cool new stuff.
But that's my fear, is that from now on, it's just a big eye roll on the right. When you say green energy or solar energy, they're just going to go, oh, well, Solyndra, you know what happened there.
Yeah, good thing nobody can pronounce it, right? Or else
also, no oil company's ever had a weird thing happen.
Right.
I mean, it's...
All right, this is for Keith Olbermann. Do you ever feel that GE restricted the journalistic freedom of pundits on MSNBC?
Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to say. No, actually, I don't. No.
I don't think so either.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, that wasn't what it was about.
No. Gambling debts. It was mostly my gambling debts.
Are you happier where you are? Because people still, to me, 10 years after, I mean, tomorrow is the anniversary of what we call around here the tragic events of 9/17.
Oh, God.
When I said the things that got me fired off of ABC. But I found greater happiness here in the lily fields of HBO. Do you feel?
Well, yeah, but there's a balance to it, which is unfortunately because now I'm in charge of the operation, so my life is a living hell. I mean, just by dint of being in charge of it.
Really?
Yeah, you have to do.
Right.
You have to know the names of the people on the staff.
Oh,
now. I mean, come on. That was a joke. All right, thank you.
All right. Do you think candidates would act differently at debates if there was no audience?
Oh, yeah, it would be a completely different experience. The last time reporters were actually in the audience was the debate between Dan Quayle and Lloyd Bentsen, the "You're No Jack Kennedy" debate.
Sure.
And the reason is reporters in the hall thought that Quayle had done quite well. They thought he had done fine, hadn't thrown up on his shoes. He thought that he knew his stuff. I mean, and in the suite afterwards, Quayle felt really good. But on TV, it was such a different experience that now when you go to one of these debates, they have this enormous tent with TVs everywhere because reporters want to see it the way that people at home see it. And I think that's right. I think leaving the audiences out would be just fine, I think, with everybody.
Yes,
leaving the debates out would be okay with me.
I mean, the crowd brings something out in a person, you know?
Yes.
And they are...
or suppresses. I've seen many times people say backstage, you know, we think they're going to be the conservative. They come out here and suddenly they're very liberal. You know, the crowd can be very intimidating.
They're witnesses. You're not just your thoughts in your own little private
when
world.
there's
They're
other,
people you don't
other
know.
brains in the room, it changes
That too.
everything. I mean, I do stand-up, so I work for crowds all the time, and I couldn't do it without a crowd. I literally couldn't really do it.
So how would the brains issue apply to a Republican?
Well, because they're all those. But I mean, they're running for president, and it's a popular vote. So I think they should have to stand in front of people and say stuff. I think
But I'm
that's a
always
good test.
amazed at how intimidating a crowd can be, considering that you must know somewhere in your brain, left or right side, that they're not really going to come over here and beat you if they
Right.
disagree with you. The worst that's going to happen is, ooh, boo.
Yeah.
Which is why I really admire people who say things that get them booed.
It's good to disagree. It's good to
dis-
be able to
Yeah.
disagree.
And also, if they don't...
No, it's not.
I'm sorry, but that's not true.
And sometimes the majority's wrong. You know, just what's wrong with just, fuck you, this is my opinion, we don't care what you...
I mean, the Nixon-Kennedy thing worked pretty well without a crowd.
Right.
I mean, it was just two guys, two podiums, or three cameras, and that was it. I mean, we got a lot.
But if you watched it with the sound only, then you really got the effect.
Yes.
Politicians have to know who to pander to. That is their lodestar. It's very hard, but you take that audience away, and I think, you know, they kind of don't know where to go, because they really only... It's why, you know, when you see these people, and I agree, it wasn't everybody cheering, but, you know, that's the mood of that part of the right wing right now. Very mean, you can't be tough enough, and...
Well, you just
Back
shut
to
up. How
Pat
about that?
Buchanan days. It's back to like Pat Buchanan with the pitchforks.
Yeah.
You know, it's gotten that mean again.
All right, last question. I heard the other day, Larry Harwell says that 1 out of 5 or perhaps 6 Americans, it's 1 out of 6, Larry, live below the poverty line. Worst poverty news we've had since ever, right? Since they started to keep score. How did this come to be, and what needs to be done to fix it? Also, by the way, 22% of children.
Oh, no, it's, yeah, of all children.
Of children
30,
are below the poverty
and it's
line.
the 37, 38 for black and Hispanic children, percent.
You know,
Unbelievable.
What's with this country? Why can't we get our shit together?
Well, not only do you have to
22%
think
of the
Of children
kids in
live
America
in poverty,
live
yeah.
in poverty.
it's a bunch of kids in a sandbox. I think our leaders not only have to think out of the box, but out of the sandbox that they put themselves in and start getting this thing organized. And how to do that is the issue, but they keep starting with the hardest part, which is how you're going to pay for it, instead of starting with the easy part, like what should we do? And then the pay-fors will come out of that.
But isn't a lot of the reason why there's a lot of poor people is because we keep funneling more money to rich people? Because the Bush
Don't
tax...
take away
life
my
is getting so
G5.
much
Don't
better.
touch my G5.
Life is getting so much better for rich people. I mean, it's just a priorities thing because we have HD television and Wi-Fi and what that English guy is sending people to space.
Branson, yeah.
Yeah, it's getting more and more crazy how rich people live because I think even poor people want rich, they sort of feel represented by rich people.
Well, we always have. Look
There
at
were polling on that about people who are not wealthy who expect to be
Oh, yes.
within 10 years, and it's 50%. That's why you can get people to vote against their own interest,
Yeah, but
because they think
don't want
they're
to-
going to win the lottery, they're going
That's
to
right.
have the money next year, and they're preserving their money in the future.
The real danger is
Yeah.
that people who were below the poverty line when Jackie Kennedy was making those statements, many of them lived on farms and they could live literally off the farm. Now the farmers don't, they're all living in the city. So when you're poor, you are desperately poor and there's no good way out of it.
But, you know, right after that, Lyndon Johnson came into office and he declared a war on poverty. It's been mocked on the right. But the truth is, if you look at the facts, it actually worked, and worked rather quickly. I mean, they reduced the number of people in poverty from something like 22% down to something, I think it was 13% in a couple of years. I'm not saying you should just throw money at a problem, but when you give money to poor people, they're less poor.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird. All right, we'll have to continue this another time. Thank you, folks. Nice to be back.